So under this new information revolutions, right, we want to know, we want to go back to the idea about what is the purpose of accounting. So our why this going on, what is the story is going on, and how this distributed. And we will talk about it next class, okay? Back to the topic of the purpose of accounting. So the business processes. What business process involved with? The production, the revenue, the expenditures, the human resources, and financing for the business, right? So basic example we learned so many times. This is what we first learned in the introduction of financial accounting. So a company get the raw materials from the vendors, cost $700. They produce the product and deliver to their customers. And what is the sales price of it? Is $900. So what is the profit? Is $200. And we learned this. This is kind of like the business activities that required for the company to do a bookkeeping, right? So the stakeholder want to see, like, what are the stakeholder of the companies? Management, investors, government. This government is not like a very deep, concrete concept. It's a very broad. You know, IRS can be government agency. SEC can be government agency. It's a very broad concept, okay? So how, we down to the question, how the company is gonna record these transactions, right? That's when accounting come in. Accounting is the language of business. Without accounting, nobody knows what's going on with the business. So the business transactions, based on accounting and the support of the IT, it processes to the informations. And then information is support the decision making. So this is the whole purpose of accounting. But then business transaction combined with the IT support and the accounting, they need to have a basic. You have to have a basic understanding because there are framework that we need to follow to record the transactions. There are many standards that we could choose in different countries. It have different standards. And it want to make sure that your transaction is recorded in the specific format. Then we will generate the standardized financial display. Well, the information might be the same piece of information might be different because the users is different, right? So there are many ways to present your information. It's very similar. Like you can make a class presentation, use PowerPoint. Some other people can use a video. Some people can use Prezi. What kind of information present channel you're using? And then it generates the different outcome for the decision-making process. Provide information for decision-making is the core of the purpose of accounting. And then it serves for the information. I want you guys to name what are the internal information customers and what is external information customers. Any idea?
Company managers. So like managers of various sorts.
And the stockholders.
And what else?
Customers.
And the employees.
Yeah, employees are internal.
Customer is external.
Yes, customer is external.
Investors and external.
Yeah. Investors are internal or external.
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 Yeah. Okay.
The board can be for internal.
Yes, board of directors, internal.
Owners, internal.
Okay. So I listed some of the stuff that you guys maybe find interesting, right? Internal informations, employees, management, right? So internal information, right? In the domain of the management accounting or managerial accounting, right? Like budget, cost volume profit analysis, variance analysis, and product costing, those things. External information, customers, investors, stakeholders, creditors, customers, government, regulatory agencies, financial institutions, right? So public coded companies have more complicated compliance requirements, right? Like websites such as Yahoo Finance. This is very important resources that the researchers use to analyzing the financial articles, financial news articles. In this area, a lot of people using textual analysis to predict the earnings of the companies. And there are many, many papers working on these areas. So, next part, we want to talk about the role of the accounting professional. So, there are 1 week, 1 what, and 3 how. Which event to capture? What data is related to event should be captured? How the data are be captured while preventing the errors? How the data should be stored and optimized? The usabilities while maintaining the integrity. So a lot of things that we're talking about this can be solved by the modern technologies. So anybody know about blockchain?
Very little.
Do you guys even heard about blockchain concept?
Yes.
Yeah. So in my own interpretation, I'm not very expert in blockchain, but I do write some papers about it. So I write one paper is talking about there are so many types of blockchain. One, like in the extreme, public blockchain and private blockchain. And in the middle is hyper. So public blockchain is like Bitcoin. So it's like open to the general public, the ledger. So the deep concept of the blockchain is an open ledger to record the transactions. And it requires every user, every node in the chains to verify the transaction to keep the integrity. On the other hand, the private blockchain is owned by certain entity, can be government, can be firm, but they own this. They give authority to certain people to make sure everything is recorded. Accounting actually having the similar kind of purpose. Make sure the data integrity is very important, right? We want to make sure that everything booked in our ledgers should be corrected, right? And then how meaningful the report can be generated on demand in real time. This is a very new concept because as all the students that participate in the class, we talk about this, right? The drawbacks of the traditional accounting that couldn't provide information in real time is periodical, right? But a lot of things like you can see like in the stock market, price change instantly, right? A lot of people want to get the most recent update about the financial information to make their investment decisions. So that's why previous study shows that the financial news of the company can influence the stock market price in 20 minutes. But the traditional accounting couldn't do that, isn't it? I want to talk about the traditional accounting model. So transaction happen. There are invoices, purchase order, those things we already learned from the previous classes. Debit, credit, do the transactions, bookkeeping, and then the accounting circle. First step, capture the transaction data on the source document. We need to keep this record of sales orders, right? So let me tell you guys what my first impressions about accounting. My mother is an accountant. So sometimes during the busiest time of the companies, she often come home with the big folders, many big folders, invoices, ledgers, everything. She has a because it was 1990s around that time. She has stamps with the ledgers, like with the account name printed on the front, and she used a special ink. She checked the account name and she used a special ink and she put it on her ledger and she write down the number. And she required me to be silent because she doesn't want to make any mistake when she do the bookkeeping. So that's my first impression about accounting. Next part, journalizing the transaction. That's actually what she do at her work, right? Like business, we do the debit credit and we put it on the journal. And we have sales day books, stuff like that. I don't know. I want to ask you guys a question. Do you guys ever do this kind of process by yourself in hand?
Sometimes, yes.
I mean, like, really, you have like mimic kind of invoices that your teacher handed out to you and you do that in class or like in real life?
In real life, sometimes to understand what is the other side of the journal entry.
Yeah. So I heard like some of you guys are working. So what's your work? Like, are you guys working as accountant or you guys working as auditor?
Financial services for investors.
Yeah. Okay. That's very interesting. So my first impressions about how this process worked was when I was in junior, same as you guys, and I find myself internship. And I went to the work. So the manager of me is giving me a big piles of the invoices and ask me to categorize it and prepare the ledger. I was like writing down first in the paper and then I use the app. So I use to input it in the QuickBook, something similar to QuickBooks, right? So that's the first idea. But because I also work for the financial services companies, so each people actually responsible for at least 15 firms. So there are a lot of things can be automated, and because the automations, the firm able to take care of a lot of firm at the same time and make more money. So next step is post transaction to the ledgers, right? So we got the journals, we have the ledgers, and we post all the numbers in. This is a very complicated arrow. You know where to go. We got the information from that, the routine transaction, not routine transactions, special ledgers, those stuff. Periodically, we gonna total the special ledgers, the summary, the entries to the general ledger, right? What is the next step? We prepare the trial balance. After preparing the trial balance, we need to generalize and post-adjusted the entries, right? There are 5 types of adjusting. I don't want to touch details about this. You guys all learned it in previous classes. And then we prepare adjusted trial balance, right? And then we prepare the financial statement. Okay, question. What is the next step after prepare the financial statement?
Closing the entries?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Journalize and post-closing entries, right? That's the step that we know we need to do. So we close the account. We say, okay, periodically, in the end of the fiscal years, we have this much earning, this much sales, stuff like that, right? We closing the entries. What's the next step? Prepare the post-closing trial balance, right?
Yes. Yes.
So that's the period that we ended, right? After we do this, we have the financial statement. Then we have auditor come in to verify our information, right? That's the whole other process. So as the previous, we talk about the drawbacks of the traditional accounting models, right? I want to touch base with this in more detail with you guys. I hope you guys to mark the number, like take the note, because this is not the slide. The slide I'm using for lecture is different from the slide I'm sending to you guys. The first, you need to remember that everything I talk in class will be on the exam. I will not put anything that I'm not talking in the class to the exam. So I leave the blank in the slides. You guys need to fill the blank by yourself by taking notes, okay? Just very side note of this. The manual accounting process, right? We're talking about that. Because of this manual process, it shows the problems of traditional view of accounting. So it's a transaction oriented. There's nothing more than that. What about I want to know the customer services? What kind of question that customer frequently ask? What if I want to know how well is the internal communications? How about the emails between the employees, right? Because it's so narrowly just focused on the financial data. It's also come back to the example that I talked to you guys earlier about Apple, right? So, or Google, their financial statement. It's so narrow focus on the financial data that we cannot get more information other than that. But think about another question. For those investors of Apple or Google, how many of them actually read their financial report footnote? I bet if there is 1%, that's too much. A lot of people lack of financial literacy. They don't even touch those information. They don't touch those financial informations. Then another question is why we're using so much effort to prepare that. Is just for the compliance, right? Another point that we need to make is we need to justify. This is important, right? So this report periodically. Yeah, 10Q probably more frequent than the 10K, but think about it. It's only report 4 times a year. It's still not real time. And also it's very high level aggregated. You cannot tell, okay, what kind of product are you guys selling? From this information, from this income statement, we cannot tell what kind of product they are even produce. And what are other two limitations that possibly influence the information users? One is limited accessibilities, right? Another one is it's less flexible. It has boundaries. A lot of supporters of blockchain is supporting it because it doesn't have authority. It's decentralized ledger. It's decentralized in a way that everybody share the same authority. I don't know if anybody know like Alipay or even PayPal's. What is the principles behind it? Why people trust those platforms? It's the opposite of decentralized. It's centralized. Yes? Can someone answer my question?
Yes, but I don't trust PayPal, so I'm not gonna answer.
Okay. So why you don't trust PayPal then?
I think
Because they have my information there, and I don't know. Even though they're increasing the security, I don't know. I feel that they're holding my information there.
Okay, so this is about the trust, right?
Yes.
So what is the reason why blockchain is so become so popular? In a way, because it doesn't need anything, but it built up the trust. By open this information to everybody, unless you have a key. You have your private key, you use your private key to encode your information. And people who have your public key can verify your information. This enhances the trust. If you cannot verify your own identity using your private key, right? People won't trust you. But your problem about you don't really trust PayPal is more tend to be a question that a lot of people don't use social media. They have hesitation using social media because they are using the information. It interferes with the privacy. That's another whole new area. And it's actually one of my research area as well. So let me tell you one thing. Privacy doesn't really exist anymore in this era unless you cut off anything happened around you, right? But don't worry too much because you are not that important. You're just teeny tiny member of the big communities. And those information giants get your information, actually do produce a lot of things that could be benefit you. Like when you go to Amazon, they're using the algorithm to predict, okay, maybe you need this product, and they put it on the list. You might just need that, right? Actually have provide you some utility as well, right? Other thing I want you guys to keep in mind that technologies is a double-edged sword, and it actually can be technology given and technology taken. These are being a lot of debate in academic and practitioner about how this gonna be work in the future. So we just need to keep this in mind that there are a lot of potential. So keep in mind that this technology revolution do provide a lot of drawbacks, but also provide a lot of benefit. Okay? So next question is 2 advantages of computerized bookkeeping system. Use computer to process the accounting transactions. This started with 60s and late 60s and early 70s. And it was famous, the first, but maybe you guys never heard about it. COBOL, COBOL. This is kind of like customized transaction process application.
Excuse
So nowadays there are more kind of accounting computerized bookkeeping system, as you guys mentioned about the QuickBooks, right? There are many other computerized bookkeeping software around the world. Why there are so many different computerized bookkeeping systems? Can you guys make a guess?
Because each company have a different different logistic to work with that. Like I can say public company have a different web using for the QuickBook or whatever they can call other name. So the transaction is there. Each company have typical transaction. So
yeah. So as we talk about, right? So accounting standards is pretty much provide you a framework, right? And within the framework, company have some flexibility to choose what kind of accounting policy they're gonna choose. Are they going to choose straight line depreciation, or they use accelerate depreciation methodologies, right? Another point is that different countries have different accounting standards. Even though within the United States, each state have different requirements about the GAAP compliance, right? Some state government doesn't follow GAAP. Some government entities they not require them to follow the GASB's payment standards. So this variance created a lot of new computerized bookkeeping systems. This automation process are geared towards the automating process of the accounting transactions. So let's do a recap about what are the advantages of computerized bookkeeping. It's automations, it's helping people get away from the tedious job, it's much faster, it's low cost, it can generate the report periodically, it efficient generate a certain standard accounting report. So what are the drawbacks of traditional accounting? It's transaction oriented only, a lack of real-time reporting, is lack of flexibilities, and the data accessibilities are very low, and the cross-functional queries are very difficult to answer. So both the advantage of computerized bookkeeping system and the drawback of the traditional accounting lead to we ask a question: what is the solution for this? Any guess? Yeah, go ahead.
because for me, because everything's based on like a computerizing, sometimes we have some mistakes, some error on the computerization. Is they get the performance computer, like the performance system that can help you to work very well. Because sometimes if your technology is not performant, so you can miss out some lot of work.
Yeah. Okay, that's some point. So this class is actually providing the solution for this dilemma. So is the last question that we have for this chapter. Database approach in accounting system. So basically in this book, we're gonna talk about relational database, and we're gonna use Microsoft Access. So we're gonna use this to build up the relational database. And this is the approach to solve these dilemmas for accounting. All the event data are stored in the single integrated repositories, which can be visualized as an enterprise-wide information system for the organizations, across the department, across the branches of the organizations. So there are two different distinctive approaches, database approaches. The first is customer develop a suite of applications and using relational database. This will be, we will explain this detail in chapter 6, which is next class. Okay, next class we have two chapters. It's chapter 2 and chapter 6. Another approach is ERP system, using the software from vendors, and it can solve a lot of database problem. Like in reality, a lot of company actually using multiple ERP system. But then there are problems due to the multiple ERP system is the system integration. How you can combine the 3 ERP system or more numbers of ERP system together and using it in the company and without creating any problem. Recently, I'm writing a paper. It's a case study that a company applied continuous audit. It's a company in Brazil. It's the biggest textile industry companies in Brazil. So what they have is they have 3 different ERP systems, and their chief officers want them to using the continuous audit to reduce the internal risk, because they have a very heavy tax compliance duties. So in Brazil, it's very unique. So they are doing the XML tag. So every invoices, every purchase, they will have an update to their tax authorities. The real-time information will go there, calculate the tax rate and the tax amount. So fail to do so, you will get a big punishment from the government. So that's why they apply the continuous audit in their system. Try to make sure they use external data to validate their internal bookkeeping data. First, they enhance their internal control because they're using exogenous data. Try to verify the transaction, the bookkeeping. But the challenges they have is they have 3 different ERP systems. So we will talk more details about this database approach in the future. It's chapter 14. Okay? So, database approach is very effectively avoid the past transaction-oriented bookkeeping system from the traditional accounting. It focuses on the event. It focuses on capturing the data that involved with the company's business process. So all the relevant information is captured. Record data about all events. It's not just double entry bookkeeping information. Have more information than the information user needs. And another thing is enterprise-wide repository. It's like a big giant document, store all the entities and events, right? It allows users to instantly access this information. So by what? Any thoughts? How this database approach allows users to access information instantly. How the database approach can allow users to instantly access the information.
Enterprise-wide repository?
Not really. Any other people want to try?
Can we say like it focuses on that specific type of data? So like, it narrows down your search, maybe?
It's very close, but not. So how this achieved? It achieved by the query. Because it's computer-based, right? You can generate a query. I want to get the information about all the transactions happen in specific date related to this specific company, right? You can just write an SQL query. This is another thing that we're gonna learn in this class, how to write SQL query. If you have that skills, you can access. Any user can instantly access the information that they need, okay? Now I assume that you guys don't have any questions. So database approach, the advantages. I want you guys to write this down, okay? Advantages, event-oriented, real-time rather than periodic, increasing the accessibility of data, support for cross-functional data analysis, and store data in the most disaggregated form. So we will touch base all of those points when we do all the assignment and the team project that we have. You can realize, oh, all the things we talk about in here is actually true. So now I'm gonna play a video. And I will ask questions by the end of the video, okay?
Timely, actionable information when it's needed, in context of operational business processes, enabling quick, accurate decisions throughout the workday. SAP Business Objects Analytics embedded in the SAP Business Suite delivers information that's easy to access, explore, and act upon within transactional systems without switching environments. Make informed decisions using predefined dashboards and reports based on best practices for any process where people make time-sensitive operations decisions requiring quick access to analytic information. Let's take a look at a few situations where embedded analytics will save time and money and promote better decisions. It takes time to extract meaning from long lists of text and numbers. Now, with a click of a button, SAP real-time reporting can be viewed as a pixel-perfect, templated SAP Crystal report, speeding understanding and action at the point of decision from within the familiar SAP user interface. Timely collection of invoices can sometimes be challenging. Embedded dashboards for SAP ERP Finance can provide the intelligence for collections to be successful quickly. On the highly interactive overview dashboard with data pulled directly from the SAP Accounts Receivable system, the Collections Manager can see exactly how much is being collected. Since collections activities and the degree of work list completion are trending down, the manager drills in to investigate. Dynamically interacting with the data, the manager can easily find the root cause for this trend. It's clear one collections team is much slower than others. And within the EMEA group, Frank isn't getting through his work list as fast as the others. His rate of documenting disputes is very high. The collection manager can reallocate the workload to accommodate the more challenging customers on Frank's list and keep collections running smoothly. A key but difficult role for human resources is overseeing succession planning identifying which key roles don't have successors, and creating a plan to develop those successors. HR can use embedded dashboards for an overview of succession status company-wide or within any department, and get a quick overview of the positions that don't have suitable successors. Then, with a click, return to the succession planning application to understand where and how to begin strengthening the succession bench. SAP Business Objects Analytics embedded in the SAP Business Suite are available now. Over 100 pre-built reports and dashboards for immediate real-time use to provide actionable insights at the point of decision throughout your large or medium-sized organization. Whether in customer service, finance, human resources, or supply chain, you can unlock the power of information where it's needed and when it's needed, at the desktop or on a mobile device.
So what kind of database approach this is?
They were talking about the analytic data. I don't know if it's the same.
Yeah, so SAP is what?
What do you say? CS.
So we talk about two approaches that we're going to talk. Two database approaches that book introduced, right? Which one it is? SAP. So this SAP is which step?
The ERP?
Yes, exactly. It's the ERP approach, okay?
Okay.
So next, I want to talk about the role that future accounting professionals can play. So as you can see, this chart is from the Economist. And in 2013, they did a prediction. And they said the probability of computerizations will lead the job to lose within the next 2 decades. And where we are like the second highest in the list, which means that in 20 years we're gonna lose our job. And that's scary.
Yes.
All the procedures gonna be replaced by automation. Like we are talking about artificial intelligence, the pure computerization and automation of bookkeeping, all those stuff. We have the dangers to lose our job. And back to the question, how can we justify our existence?
I wanted to say something. I mean, even though, yeah, we're moving toward AI, there's still the human aspect of auditing that like a lot of companies look at, because even like big four companies now, a lot of their system like now they're relying a lot more on like computerized system, and yeah, like the amount of work we used to do has decreased like significantly, but at the end of the day they still need like human auditors. It's just their job descriptions have changed. Instead of like crunching up data, now they can focus on other aspects.
Okay, that's a very valid point. I think you're right, because even though for the AI is need to be supervised by human, right? The AI, who designed the AI? Still the people design the AI algorithm, isn't it? So we still have, this looks scary, but we still can justify the existence of us, like the value of us. Even though a lot of things can be replaced by the automation, but the personal judgment cannot be replaced. Even though AI made the decisions, okay, this is a problematic transaction, people still have the right to override the decisions. Even though it looks like it's problematic, by the personal judgment, I think it's fine. Right? I have the override right of it. But this also gives us a little hint how do we prepare us for the changes? I remember when I was 12 years old, I read a book called Who Moved My Cheese? And at that time, I don't really understand what the book's about. It's just about two person and two mouse. And they are running around in the maze, try to find the cheese. I didn't really understand it. So, but nowadays, when I look at this story and I look at these predictions about we are potentially losing the job, this makes me think about that story. We need to be prepared about ourselves in the future's career. We have to understand there might be changes happen to our career, and how can we, as accountant or auditors, predict the changes and avoid the changes, the influence to our professions. Right? So this is what kind of things I want to teach you guys. I want you guys be able to get out of the classroom and, be able to compete in the job market and find a decent job that you like and you're passionate about, but also be prepared of the potential changes. You have to be always open to the changes around the world and try to get the ideas, try to get the essence of it. What can I prepare myself for the future challenges? What kind of skills that you need to learn? Another thing I really like about, because I used to be RBS student as well. So a lot of things I like about our school is we prepared. We let the student learn about the advanced technologies. And I work as a grant writer for a whole year. And in that years, I was able to using a lot of things that I learned from school. I was able to tell my employers that yes, these are the skills I have, and I was able to fulfill my job easily, even though I just a new graduate, right? So this is things I want you guys to keep in mind. Okay, so this is videos from a summit that people are talking about adopting the new technologies, right? Yeah, what do you think about this? Like, what kind of the concept is behind this? All the transaction, not sampling.
They're talking about like the auditing in the accounting firm.
Mm-hmm.
Can you please repeat the question?
Yeah. So they said that they are doing audit on all the transaction, all the financial information, not doing sampling. What is the concept behind this statement?
Is the database?
This is the concept I just introduced previously in the class.
Like the ERP?
No.
The database management system?
Not really. So the true answer is the concept behind this is called continuous audit.
Continue.
You provide the continuous assurance.
Oh.
Okay?
Yeah.
So continuous audit is a very important concept, at least in Rutgers Business School, because this concept is first created by Professor Miklos Vassarelli, and he is one of the most prestigious professors in Rutgers Business School. And because of this concept, we are ranking very high. Schools are ranking very high in the accounting information system and also audit. So if you guys have the chance, please try to get some idea about. He even have a Wikipedia pages, so you guys can just do some search about this. And this concept probably gonna be on the exam too, okay? Actually, a lot of things are relevant to our career, right? The reason for importance IT accountant increasingly being asked to solve the information technology problem. So a lot of time, we as auditors sometimes need to help client to make their software and hardware decisions. A lot of time, as well as like AICPA, they have the initiatives, they are changing the CPA exam to include more and more technologies initiative. And they ask our faculties to go give lectures and talking about this. And it directly related to the accounting educators. So how they design regulations, how they are doing, like how they put those new update requirement into the exam, right? So often we will also ask to evaluate the effectiveness and efficiency of the existing accounting information system. So auditors must evaluate the computerized system, understand how IT influence the accounting system. It's very important to pass the certification exam like CPA. So IT will affect how you work in the future. AICPA 2013 Top Technology Initiative Survey, right? So for those CPAs to stand up to date on the latest technology initiative, to advise their client, customer, employers on the strategy, what kind of strategies the firm should be taken is very, very important. So that's why we are here to learn about this information technologies. Maybe we can be a little bit left behind because there are so many other information technologies, but it really takes a lot of time for accounting to adopt it. Because if a firm allocated their resources, do you think they're gonna allocate a lot of monies on financial team, on accounting? Do you think so? What they gonna invest first? If they have money? Yeah, probably, but will they invest their money in accounting? Not like accounting technology, but will they willing to put a lot of money in accounting? Their financial team? Not really, right? Because they have other priority. They want to do R&D. They want to create new products. They want to maybe invest in, as you said, the technology maybe on the produce line rather than the technologies in accounting innovation, right? So for the firm, they have to make these decisions. But for the CPA, for the tax practitioners, we have to inform the board of director. We have to inform the client. We have to inform our employers that it's really a need to strategize the investment to better understanding the information technology using in accounting. So next, I want to introduce you guys some concept. So this is a very interesting videos and it provided a very high level summarize of what is blockchain and how blockchain do. And it actually provided a lot of good illustration about how the blockchain gonna work. And it's back down to the idea about our classmate doesn't trust PayPal. And why is that? Because there is a third party. But do you think you're gonna able to trust blockchain in this way?
I think I still need to get used to blockchain before trusting, but I feel better about it.
Right? So because it's an open ledger bookkeeping system. And another thing that I really want to mention about is in order to conduct fraud in blockchain, you have to at least control the 51% of the nude on the internet. Practically, theoretically, it can be reached on, like, if you're a really, really good hacker, but practically it's really hard to control all the nude. So potentially it can avoid the fraud, because you need like at least 51% of the users to verify that you are the correct record and the other 49 are wrong. So in practice, it's very hard to reach. So another question that we're gonna address is the role of the future accounting professionals. So we are the information professional within the organization. We are contribute to the organization by providing the information that they need. But how about the other professionals, like MIS, computer science? What is our advantages against? Okay, I'm gonna call somebody. Erica?
I feel that the main difference between our profession, accounting profession, and other professions like computer science is computer science. I think it's looks at everything. It's very broad. Versus accounting, we have a specific things that we have to look at. For example, like the financial stuff, the ledgers, everything surrounding that. And computer science, like I said, it's very broad. I'm not entirely sure what they focus, but I don't think that it's beneficial for somebody like them to focus on financial stuff, because that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, okay, that's a very valid point. How about fiddling? What do
Yes,
you think?
Professor.
What do you think about this question?
Can you hear me, Professor?
Yes. What's your opinions? You have connection issues? Okay, how about Karima?
Yeah, hello, Professor. So I
Yeah.
think that accounting professional to focus on things that related exactly about accounting. That means stuff like financial stuff. For computer science, they are like doing general stuff about everything related to the computer and IT. Yeah.
Yeah. So our advantages as accounting professionals is we are more familiar with the business process. Even the MIS, the CS major people cannot be able to design the system without the without the knowledge of us, right? So another perspective is auditors in the public accounting firms. So they are more focused on the control based on the computer system. So what PCAOBs is looking for, like they testing, they issue the report based on the controls, right? So what kind of like output versus the process of the system. So okay, the system, the ERP system provide us the result, right? But that's the output. But we want to provide the assurance in the trustworthy of the system. How the system process the information is important. An auditor also need to be familiar with the recent IT technology, like the previous few videos that we saw. So it's all provided by the accounting firms, like their projection about futures audit work should be, right? And then another accounting professional can be consultant, right? It used to be my previous profession career. I want to be a consultant in like Boston or McKinsey. I want to get as much as the information about, because I hate repetitive job that make me a very bad accountant, because I don't like to do the routine thing over and over again. I really do like accounting, but I also like to have a lot of challenge. You know, when you work on the consulting firm, you are be able to face different clients from different industries. And a lot of PhD, they actually doing consulting, they go to a consulting firm after they graduate, because with enough knowledges about the industry, about certain area, you are very easy to gain the trust from the client. But this is backed up with our professional capability. We are capable to understand the existing system. We know what's out there, what is the new system supposed to be. We're familiar with the whole process, right? So these are potential kind of things that you guys can come up with about your own career in the future. I want someone to do a recap about the two drawbacks of traditional accounting model. Anyone can do that? How about Manur?
I mean, one was that if you don't have technology, it can be, like time consuming. And the second
the
was that
drawback of
since
traditional
Fedlin has a connection problem. She can't answer. She just texts me, Fedlin. But can I answer that question, like the two drawback of traditional accounting model? One of them
Yes.
we saw in class is transaction orientation,
Yeah.
limited accessibility of information,
Yes.
limited flexibility.
Thank you.
Yeah, but Fedlin has a connection problem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she tried
So
to connect back.
the thing is, please let me know if, especially when you guys are in group or you guys have contact of each other, if anybody have connection issue, please let me know. Okay, I want to do a brief summary, then you guys can recap about the class. We first talk about information revolution, and we talk about the rule of accounting and potential information consumers that we have. And then we compare the traditional accounting models, the drawbacks, and also the advantage of computerized bookkeeping system. And then we combine this tensions solving landed to the database approach. And then we have two distinctive database approach. And then we talk about the concept of event-oriented and enterprise repository. And the most important thinking is give you guys an idea about how the future accounting professionals will change in the future due to the technologies. Okay, so this is the summary of the class. So we also have some questions for the next chapters, and you guys can base on this few questions is how you prepare for the quizzes. So every class I'm gonna have this slide, and this is the oriented to the quizzes. So you guys better maybe take notes or whatever and be prepared about next class, okay? So far is all the lectures about today, and I want everybody to give some feedback. How do you like this format of like online teaching? And I will stop recording. You guys can feel free to see whatever you want.